All right. Well, welcome everybody to this week's Tipple's live virtual tasting. This is Jeff Vaudreuil. Elizabeth Vaudreuil hopefully will be joining us later on, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines. And this week we're going to be drinking one of the most fun named wines that you'll ever have, the Chakalaka from Spice Route in South Africa, Swartland. A consistently delicious. I really have been a fan of this wine for a long time. This year earning a double 89 points. Last year 91 points. It's always right there around 90. It's just a great wine. Very consistently well made. It's a spicy, character-driven wine. One of my favorite things about it. We did drink a South African red blend 6 months ago or so. That was more on the light bodied. This guy's going to be a little medium to heavier bodied, kind of a heavier extraction, but consistent in that that kind of nice character driven spiciness, which I think we'll discover as we talk tonight. They actually named it after that. Chakalaka is a Zulu word for meaning like unity. And the winemaker's point in naming this wine was that this wine is an excellent complement to the indigenous people's spices that was unified with the European settlers' cuisine. So the unity of those creating their South African Cape style cuisine, that this is a great pairing for that. So if you haven't already, let's go ahead and pour some wine. So I don't know if you guys remember the other, that it was so light you could see right through it, much like a Pinot Noir. The other red blend, this guy is not that beast. I chilled this guy for about 30 minutes in the fridge, brought it down to about 55, 60 degrees. I'll let it warm up from there and it'll express more to me as it warms up. Great pairings with this are beef, barbecue pork, spicy sausages. And let's jump over here real quick. Cranberry taste to it.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Is that the Cape cuisine that you're talking about? Is the Cape cuisine very rich and spicy? And
it has a lot of the spicy quality. There we go. That should be showing you guys what I want to see. A lot of spicy quality from the native African culture that was there. So it really did change it because a lot of what was going on there were Dutch settlers coming down there. Well, a lot of the names that you'll see will seem almost German in style, but they're actually Dutch from South Africa. And so they did, they blended together and became their own thing, which is, I think, kind of wonderful to have an aspect of that. With obviously it wasn't without contention, but it's nice to see people looking at the positive side of that integration of cultures.
We're looking at your Gmail right now. Are we supposed to be looking at
Are you kidding me?
No.
Yeah. I thought I had stop share on there. You're not seeing this? You're not seeing the wine?
I thought it was intentional. Now we see this. Now we see this.
Yeah, I thought I was on one of my regular meetings.
That's right. Will you get through my inbox for me? Because it is loaded. All right. So. But thank you, Paul, for letting me know. So, this guy is, so this is a red blend that we're drinking this evening, and it is quite the blend. It's Mourvèdre, Syrah, Carignan, Grenache, Tannat, and Petit Syrah. Oh. Yeah, it's, if this were out of California, they kind of call those things a kitchen sink blend. I haven't had any yet, so I just finally drank some.
Mourvèdre.
Each one of those has its own aspect. So Mourvèdre, the dominant grape in here, we've had this as in Spain, Monastrell, if you guys will remember that one. And it's called Mataro when we had it down in Australia. So, but Mourvedre is the French version. So Mourvedre, I'm gonna run through the different varietals real quick and give a kind of a basic overview of what each one is adding to this wine. So the Mourvedre is kind of, I call it all things purple. It's got a nice tannin quality, so a little tightness and structure in there, but that nice plummy, the deep, rich violet color and a little bit of the violet nose is from the Mourvedre. The Syrah is going to be more red fruits. So we're dealing with those with a little bit of like a red plum rather than a black plum.
Yeah, Jeff, are these mixes like out of necessity, or do they like test them over and over and over again to come to this like actual 36%, 9%? Like, or is that just what they have and they blend them together?
So no, it is literally from tasting. So this is the winemaker's vision of the red blend that he wanted to create from the terroir and what the terroir was giving them on each given year. They may change the proportions a little bit to get to where the flavor, they want this to be the kind of an encapsulation of the flavor they want to express from that year down in the Southern Cape.
Isn't this from where, like, one of the first tastings when we had that spicy red? Wasn't that also from this region?
Exactly. Yes. So that one was.
Sorry.
So that red was Carignan dominant, which is a much lighter, has the similar body to Pinot Noir. You can see right through it. But it did have that nice spicy quality. So in this case, because we're going Mourvedre and then Syrah, we're getting a much more intense, a lot darker extraction on this wine because of the because of the different grapes that we're using. Because we do get, so we have Mourvedre, then we have Syrah, both of which can give nice big flavors. Then we get to the Carignan. In this case, so Carignan is going to give us that nice, it's light bodied, but it's really spicy. So it gives a lot of character, which we'll experience more and more of that as it opens up. The next one is the Grenache. Grenache gives you more floral components generally. So once again, another light bodied grape varietal. We'll get kind of that uplifting. You get a little bit of, to me, it's more like it's playing on the floral side is playing on the violets. So I think it's coming through with the Mourvedre dominance. So I would say there is a floral component, but it's still very purpley and deep rather than something light and pink. And then we have Tannat. So Tannat, in this case, I love Tannat. Tannat is great for body. So if you were to have South American Tannat, which we will, it's really kind of wonderful in the form of, it's a lot like Cabernet Sauvignon, but it has an even thicker skin. So you get more tannin for your buck. So you can add a small amount of Tannat in, and it goes a long way to creating kind of a little bit of a nice structure in this to allow it to work with beef and that kind of a thing. Because the red blend that we had before, which was Carignan dominant, really, I couldn't recommend that guy with beef. It wouldn't be able to stand up to a steak, but this guy can.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm here, so you have to start over again.
Okay,
Tell me what you're doing. Sorry, I had to finish my lesson for tomorrow.
No, it's good. Now we'll see the right slides.
No.
I did. I was showing my email.
Oh, you're doing your email.
I did. I nailed it. It was perfect. So.
Do you have it set up well now?
Yes, I was able to fix it.
All right,
Yes.
cool.
All right.
There you go.
So the last.
You would have been having a cow, Elizabeth.
What'd you say, Harriet?
You would have been having a cow when you did that, Elizabeth.
Oh, probably.
So the last of the grape varietals in this long list is Petite Syrah, which in this case, along with the Mourvedre, so you have the top and the bottom of the list, really give a lot of color. So Petite Syrah, you're going to get color and a lot of nice fruitiness from the Petite Syrah. So they're playing with all these different wines here he is with working with big fruit with some varietals, with floral with some varietals, with spice with a lot of the varietals. And I think that he puts together a beautiful glass of red wine. It's friendly, but very character driven. So you can drink it by itself, but it's absolutely going to go with a ton of food. And like, what a great barbecue wine. And this would be the one you walk in and everyone's just losing their mind.
This is a great wine. I like it.
I definitely prefer these fuller bodied, just heavier.
Oh,
red.
yeah. Right.
It's very American, to like that, but it's a new world. It's a very much like a new world kind of a style as well.
I love this.
But I think it's
When
delicious.
they do
I love it.
If we do the South American Tanat, am I saying that right? Tanat,
To not? Mm-hmm.
then it'll be full bodied but less Americanized?
No, it's pretty new world. It's very, very American palate friendly. I mean, people that love and Americans love their Cabernet Sauvignon. So if you're drinking 100% Tanat from Uruguay, you're going to feel right at home. It's hand in glove. It's really well made for the American palate. But and I think this one's very well made for the American palate. It expresses South Africa, which we'll talk about why as we go forward, but super friendly for everyone to just pick up and say, okay, Chakalaka, what a great label. This should sell. I mean, now they're not that big a winery, but I mean, this guy should be selling out all over America. This should be a sought after wine. It's so easy to love this wine, and outstanding price, outstanding name. It's got everything going for it, in my opinion. Yeah.
I like saying it. Chakalaka.
Mm-hmm.
It's very satisfying.
It is. It's a very satisfying word, right?
It's the first thing out of my mouth after I took my first sip.
Really?
Sorry. Oh, by the way, did you guys notice the password that I made for tonight? Boom, shakalaka.
You should have done Zoom shakalaka.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, well, thanks, Robin, for just jumping in and being a little more clever.
Oh my God, that's great.
None of my business, no, though. Can you mute the dials?
Yes.
Okay, so 14% alcohol on this guy. So for a red, not crazy, right in the middle, nicely balanced. Let's actually, we're going to go through the notes. So
Okay.
plum, I think I get plum easily on this guy. That would be from that Mourvedre Syrah going on there. I tell you, they call it medium bodied. It's every bit of medium bodied. It's maybe not fully heavy bodied, but
It's like a heavy medium.
yeah.
It's a heavy medium, yeah.
Wine medium.
You know, one of the observations they made, and I think they're totally right as I drink it more and more, is the acidic finish. You guys noticing how it finishes nice and tart and fresh?
Yeah.
Blood orange. I was like, yes.
Yeah, that makes
Like
sense.
this plum intro and a blood orange finish.
Blue orange.
On the nose, it's a bit on the palate, but I think more on the nose is a little bit of cocoa. Yeah. Because I would go on the palate, you get more spice with like some of that clove and white pepper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is that's that spicy thing coming in there, which I do love about South African wines.
So Consuela is joining us.
Mhm.
You didn't get rid of the waiting room. So she's been stuck in the waiting room.
Oh, sorry, Consuelo.
Oops.
Is she in yet?
She's coming in. She's
Oh, okay.
joining. See,
Well,
so
look.
you can tell her it was a little user error.
It's, I'm all about the wine, not so much about the tech. So,
Elizabeth, we missed you in the beginning.
Thank you. Jeff was like, "You're coming, right?"
I know. I was like,
I just have to finish these slides.
you know what? Look, no, the children are not our future. The wine is our future. This is not. We need to educate them. We need to educate them.
Teach them how to drink.
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
Teach them how to drink something good.
Yeah. Wine juice.
Let's jump over to the slides now that we can,
Okay.
or let's clean my inbox. One of the two. All right. Next one, please.
All right.
All right. So here we are, South Africa. most of the wine in South Africa is grown all right in here. There's a little bit up here, but it's almost exclusively down here in the Cape. All right, so here are the wine regions. There is, it's very hot down there. I mean, I know that will not shock people that Africa is hot, but this actually, and we'll look at the end. This is because this is the southern hemisphere.
Right.
This is the northern edge of where you can grow grapes.
Okay.
And the soil makes it possible to grow here. So we're drinking from Swartland, which is this area here, tonight. And
It doesn't look, can you go back?
Yes.
So hold on, let me move the mouse. So we're drinking from right here. So we're not like up in these mountains here?
Oh, no, this whole area.
That whole area.
That whole area
Okay.
is
because you
where
said
we're
it's a
coming from.
mixture
Right.
of grapes. So.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. So yeah, they're from all around in this area. And in fact, when you see the background of the winery, I'm pretty sure they're around here, and you'll see why. So here we are. Once again, just a little, another version of, Swartland. We're in here getting a collection of grapes grown throughout the different subclimates within that region.
They have a Worcester.
You do?
Worcester.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Worcester, South Africa. That's pretty cool. I was born in Worcester, Massachusetts.
That's
so,
the only reason I know although I guess I should say Worcester.
Worcester, Mass.
Yes.
Incidentally, the first official Abbey ale approved by the Catholic Church in the United States.
Oh, that's right.
The Worcester, and Spencer. Just next to Worcester is a town called Spencer, where I'm really from. I was born in Worcester, but raised in Spencer. I was baptized at the Spencer Church Cathedral, and that is where they make Spencer beer.
Oh, that's cool.
Which we used to
See,
be
it
able
was
to buy.
just right from baptism.
I know. I'm going to go up there and see if I can get some yeast because I want to make some
There you
Abbey ale. All right, so here we are.
Yeah, there's mountain right there.
So you can see, there's a lot of nice, mountainous terrain. You get some help from the elevation in the area. Mostly it's about the sand. The soil is incredibly sandy.
So it's arid?
It is very hot. It is very dry. It is arid. It does not get like cooling fogs or any of those things. The way that they're growing here has a lot more to do with what we saw in southern Spain, in Jumilla. These are more ocean sand than desert sandy, but it's not that different a thing, in effect. So, I mean, you see it all there. It's basically sand dunes, hot and dry. The dryness, so it is warmer than could be helpful for growing wine grapes. But because it drains so quickly and because it is not humid, that's why they're able to grow them there.
Okay.
Do they irrigate?
They do not.
That's a good question.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it is a very good question.
Yeah, I didn't see. You don't see anything.
Right. So basically they do not irrigate. They take it as it is. I mean, you can see. Look how this. How are you growing grapes and making wine?
No doubt, man.
That is crazy.
It doesn't look like anything would grow in
Right. Yeah. It's just sand dunes.
that. Right.
And they don't irrigate. So they have extremely low production value per acre. So they're at like an average of around 4.5 tons per 2.5 acres on their production. Let me jump out of here. All right. So in South Africa, kind of the story, Swartland, Dutch names, when you see a lot of these, this is spice route Chakalaka, which is a Zulu name, but there's some other of my favorites, the Buchenhootskloof and some of these great names.
I love that.
I love the Dutch names. They're fantastic. And they make wonderful wine. Actually, in the 1700s, they were making wine that was really well-renowned and enjoyed throughout the world. Back then, it was all about sweet wine. But then our friend phylloxera arrived. and it arrived in South Africa with a vengeance and almost completely destroyed all their wine production. So then when they came back, people just made cheap wine that they were then going to distill into brandy. So until the 90s, nobody was
Really?
bothered. Yeah, until the 90s, nobody was bothering to make quality wine in volumes high enough to export from South Africa.
Huh.
And we're talking late 90s. Like these guys tonight, 1997.
Wow. That's, I
So-
mean, that's so young.
Yeah, it's like we look at it, and I guess I tend to frame things, and I guess people do with what they know, and it's like, oh, South Africa clearly is a respectable
Right,
place to get
right.
wine from. It has not been that long.
It really hasn't.
Yeah. So
Which
good for them.
Is very interesting as we look at when you do the latitudes map
Mhm.
and as things are changing and what's in those correct latitudes for growing wine, how we maybe scoff at some areas now, but South Africa's only been in there for 20 years. So
Right.
you think 20 years from now, where are we going to be getting wines from?
Right.
Yeah.
No, it could be. I mean,
That's
Georgia. I guarantee you, in the next 10 years, we're going to be drinking a wine from Georgia, the country.
okay.
Not the
That's what I
state,
was like,
sorry.
wait.
Yeah, the country of Georgia. Georgia's making some beautiful wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the state of Georgia, we'll see.
Capernaum wine.
Right.
There's a winery. I drive by Frog something every time I'm going to
yes,
Auburn.
it's closed.
Oh, it's closed?
Yeah, it's
Oh, that's a
closed.
shame for them.
Yeah, it is. I think their thing is almost 100% on getting people to come in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so sandy soils, fast draining soils, what does that do? So obviously it keeps it dry. It's insect resistant, except for phylloxera. It's mildew resistant, and it retains heat from. This is kind of cool. Not necessarily important to this area, but it's something that's interesting when we talk about sandy soil throughout the world, especially like Germany, where they have a collection of sand and rock. The sand holds heat from the sun during the day, so when it has an extreme temperature crash at night, it actually keeps
Regulates it.
it radiates out and keeps it kind of more moderate. Not the case here. I mean, it's just hot. Hot and dry. So
Do you want to pass that bottle? And
you ready for more?
yes, please.
Hey, that's a positive sign.
No, automatically. He'll follow me around the house with drinks
Right.
because I accidentally leave them.
Yeah.
And so
This guy's, I'm really liking how this is.
I really like this. I don't think there's going to
Go
be
ahead.
any left for Ashley to taste.
Yeah, like it's like you were saying before, it is a very New World wine. It's very strong, but without being like so heavy like a California Cab or something else like that, where it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It
It has a really fresh
has its characteristics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got some big fruit, but it
Mhm.
has a lot of spice character and
Yeah.
it retains a lot of acid.
Yeah, I like the tart.
Yeah. So that
Finish.
tart finish
Mhm.
always kind of brings you back to wanting more because it's luscious
Mhm.
and it keeps my mouth watering,
Mhm.
which to me, I think it's fantastic. So let's jump back.
I'm
over.
sorry, this is going backward, but what kind of grapes are in this?
Oh,
I wasn't here for that.
what kind of grapes are not in this is
Oh,
the
okay.
actual question. Right. So this is Mourvedre,
Mhm.
Syrah, Carignan, Grenache, Tannat, and Petit Syrah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I was saying before, the Mourvedre is provides a lot of depth of color and a
Mhm.
lot of those purple fruity qualities.
Okay.
The Syrah is going to be more of the red plum and
Mm-hmm.
spice. The Carignan is going to be spicy, light-bodied.
Okay.
Now, remember the South African that we drank about 6 months ago?
Storm Point.
Yes, Storm Point.
Mhm.
Nice.
I
That
just
one was
saw it the other day when we were in the store.
that
so-
one, which I love that wine. It's Carignan dominant, so it looks like a Pinot Noir. You could see right through it.
Right,
It was
right, right.
lean, that kind of a thing. So, and then Grenache, which is more floral,
Mhm.
light bodied. Tannat, which you've had some of that. It's that
Ooh.
grippy,
Mhm.
darker. And then Petite Syrah, which is also going to be really nice and dark red fruits.
And it is darker, but it's not like you can't, like, you can see through it some, but it's not, so it's not like a heavy cab where you just can't see through it.
Right.
But
it's,
I mean, it's got a great color to it.
I would say medium plus. Like they talk about medium body.
Mhm.
Medium plus is the thing.
Yeah.
I would totally go medium plus,
Mhm.
and I will go down on that shit. All right. This is a medium plus wine.
I definitely think the Grenache comes through on this one a lot, because I think you get that sort of what do you describe it as, like a gushersy sort of thing. Like there's like a real like big fruit component that comes out.
There's candy
in it. Yeah, like the candy. Yeah, like the gushers thing.
Yeah, it's a gushers one. Like when you bite into it and you get like the fruit juice from it.
Oh
Yeah.
Great candy.
Yeah, like it's tart, and then there's like a big thing of fruit or something like that.
Yeah, I can definitely get the fruit without, like, Gushers fruit, but not sweet. For me, at least.
Sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
I understand, like, Jeff, when you say, and so maybe I'll ask the ignorant question.
Ask.
All right.
When you say Americanized, I always thought it was like it was made sweeter so that Americans would like it. But I don't consider this sweet. I mean, fruit forward, yes, but not sweet. Like I don't feel like my teeth are gonna be purple or my tongue's gonna, like.
Right. No. It's in Americans are more about fruit dominance, fruit forward, and I say American. It's really more New World. New World is about kind of like a fruit forward flavor, but not sweet. Yeah.
So then how would you describe Old World?
Old World. So in a lot of Old World wines, so you get to, especially Burgundy is the easiest one to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are Burgundian beautiful wines that you drink and smell, and Italian. And the first thing you're going to say is, I'm smelling flowers and earth before you even get
to any fruit. Okay.
So that's kind of the extreme side. Obviously, there's all kinds of levels in between. But yeah, you can definitely drink some of those really classically Old World Burgundian or Barolos and Brunellos, where your first impression is going to be floral, spice, potpourri, some dusty barrel if you're in Italy. Before, and then
not
you're like
plum cherry.
Right. No, it's not going to. And then you say, oh, and cranberry, like you begin to get into the fruit after you're dealing with the other flavors.
Is that after you, like, your palate gets used to it, or is it after it aerates more, or is it after it warms up, or like what, or is it just that it's a more subtle thing, so you have to be paying attention, what brings out?
Yeah, the Old World is going to be a combination of subtlety and complexity.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in the New World is a little more, it's kind of in your face. It's like, here we are. It's like, okay, what am I drinking here? Oh, plums, blueberries.
So in New
that
World, it's because we like to be hit with the flavor and not have to search for it.
I think that could be, I can go with that as a description. Yeah.
So
it's easy and obvious.
Yeah, it's not right or wrong. It's just different. But it's a little more obvious that you're drinking a fruit beverage.
Okay.
With
more obvious and less subtle.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I like the New World, I guess I would say then, but I also love like an Italian cab, and I consider that not fruit forward, but not fruit forward.
Don't forget that when Italians are making cab, that they're not working with their native styles or their traditional style of winemaking.
Because their traditional style would be a blend, right?
Well, their traditional style would not be Cabernet Sauvignon because that's a French grape that they brought down in there. So they do make cab, and they make some great cab, and it's even drier than what we experience. Yes, it's still going to be kind of a fruit forward, but it won't be as fruit forward. My experience with that is when you're drinking like a and I've had a couple of beautiful Italian cabs, is you're drinking it and it's side by side with that dusty barrel. And it's a dry, dusty barrel. It's not a big vanilla rich barrel. They don't go with that big, young, fresh oak.
Okay.
They want something that's subtle because they really want to express what the grape and the earth are trying to express.
Okay.
And they worry much more about the overuse of young barrel, making it so that it almost wouldn't even matter where the grape came from.
Oh, because the barrel's influencing
The
taste
barrel
so
can just,
much?
yeah, exactly,
Okay.
can overwhelm.
Okay.
We had an Italian red like not that long ago, maybe 2 months.
Mhm.
And what was that blend?
Trying to think, I think the last one we had was Dolcetto?
Yes.
Dolcetto. So that was not a blend. That was 100% Dolcetto.
Okay. So that was a singular grape.
That was a single grape.
Italian grape.
You're right. So that is so when you're up there with Nebbiolo and Barbera up in northwest Italy, Dolcetto is kind of the more, it's named the sweet one, but it isn't like we all had it. It's not sweet. It's just fruit forward.
Right.
So that was that kind of friendly crossover style. But for them, that is very friendly. And but from our point of view, we could still tell this is decidedly old world.
But that's like my happy zone. So it's funny, like I love that, the fruit forward, but then I also love like the American cab. Not so, like the blends are great, but it's sometimes too sweet.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
I know your favorite style actually from Italy, and I don't know if you know your favorite style from Italy.
Probably not. I wasn't sober a lot in Italy.
Julie's favorite style is Montepulciano.
Well, bring in more of that.
Okay, I will. Okay.
What's my favorite style? He knows Julie's.
Well, the whole thing about it.
Uh-oh.
Enjoy a lot.
All the people on here are like, oh, Jeff.
Take a stab at it.
I also complain a lot about how I couldn't get Jeff to order the one bottle of wine I found.
Yeah. Like honestly, she came in a lot about, and they were all Montepulcianos. They were all. So that's why I know that.
I probably don't have a favorite because you just
don't.
follow me around the house with
I'm
different
just drink
wines.
this. Will you drink this, please?
Yeah, there you go.
Stop leaving it in the other room.
Yes.
Yes. It's a nice bottle of wine. But yeah. All right. So let's jump over to
Sharing.
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right.
Next
All right.
one.
So yeah. So then we saw the austere. Okay. So
Oh, so pretty.
yeah. So here's Spice Route. So Spice Route for the winery began in 1997. So I was talking about late
That's
90s
really
by
recent.
Charles Back. And this, by the way, was an old tobacco farm.
Really?
Yes. So founded on an old tobacco farm, he was really inspired by the terroir and thought it could be something special.
Does that influence the taste of like it's, because there were tobacco leaves on the soil?
I could use more rice, but I don't know what the heck.
Would influence still or not?
I mean, honestly, I don't know if they have any tobacco on there anymore. I don't think they do. But smelling this wine,
Dude, it's good.
I could go tobacco leaf all day long. Seriously, there's tobacco leaf
No,
on there.
I'm not familiar enough with what tobacco smells like to.
Because it's not quite, it's a little bit reminiscent of pipe tobacco because you get a little vanilla now that it's opened up. But I would go tobacco leaf on that guy.
I get that for sure.
So let's see here. Like I said, all hand farmed, no irrigation. They actually de-stem all the grapes by hand before they press them. Yeah. So so all of the kind of nice spiciness can come from including stems, but in this case, it's all from the terroir. So, and by the way, each one of these varietals that I talked about that are in here, they're all vinted separately and then hand blended to create the style
Yeah, we
he wants.
talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Right.
That some do it that way and then some just throw them in
Right.
and vent them all together.
So it's called co-ferment if you put them all together.
Mhm.
And these are separately fermented and actually even aged for 12 months. They become a complete wine.
Oh, wow.
So they are initially fermented in concrete and then they move it to oak for 12 months. And then through tasting, the winemaker reintegrates everything
So
into
they
what he
know
wants to create.
exactly what they're going to create when they do it. Whereas if you throw them all in together,
you're going to get what you get.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
So is there more consistency from vintage to vintage with this?
Yes,
then?
this guy is like 90, 90, 90.
Okay.
You know, it's just consistently really great ratings.
Okay.
You get 91, you get 89, but
Because Consuelo has a 2013, I think she said. So that would be, she would be
it's
tasting.
going to taste similar.
Although
it'll be
he
fun.
did say you need to drink it, Consuelo.
Yes, it is time to drink that wine.
Yeah.
I've never heard of concrete fermenting. I want to hear.
Oh yeah, but no, that's actually pretty common. The initial fermentation. It's especially they're using it a lot in Italy. It kind of really brings out a minerality, which you might expect, because in everything you're in there, you're in concrete, and it helps it keep really. It's a combination of keeping it clean in the fermentation process and bringing out that minerality in there. So concrete fermentation's great. There are some Italian ones I've had that are 100% concrete fermentation.
Really?
And they end up being, it's interesting because they end up being almost a fruity Beaujolais kind of quality where, well, we had a Beaujolais last week. Remember how fruit forward that was? How it jumped forward, but it had character on the backside to balance it? That's kind of what it does.
Okay.
Is it jumps out with the fruit and then it finishes with the minerality dryness. And so these guys start with that, but then they do finish with a full 12 months in oak in order to kind of round it out and flush it out a little bit.
Did you say like young oak or old oak? Did you?
It's actually a blend of a couple of different ways. So, it's French oak.
Okay.
So French oak is not as reactive. It's not like a young American oak.
Okay.
That would be more Spain tends to use that.
Okay.
And then of course the US.
Right.
But so here we have this guy. Look at this. Watch this back patio. I think we all need a trip to go there.
Yes. Okay, Julie.
Literally
2021,
asked
we're all
Brian.
vaccinated and allowed places again.
I was just showing Brian pictures of South Africa when this started, because I think Africa gets, like a giraffe and lion and elephant theme when it's not all like that. I was like, no, South Africa's beautiful, like totally different, very touristy, but the Cape is just incredible. I was like showing him pictures, like, I want to go here.
Well, I'll tell you, I heard some stories lately that had me really worried about the future of South African wine production. But I was just speaking to someone this week that has been there much more recently, and he made me feel a lot better that it's going to be protected.
Good.
So I'm really, really happy to hear that. I think we're going to get a lot more out of this fantastic area. They make amazing Cabernet Sauvignon. They we've had some great red blends that are all these interesting styles together. But they just make great wine across the board. Yeah.
Do you know, this is going to show my ignorance of the entire continent, but do you know, do they have more issues with wildlife getting into their vineyards and things? Because I mean, or is South Africa removed from like the savannah?
I think it's all removed from it. Yeah. I haven't heard anything of it about that. Though they do have that one in South Africa. I wanted to put a video and I never found it. There's one, there's a vineyard in South Africa that uses these ducks to clean all the insects off their vines. And they have the running of the ducks and the thousands of ducks run through there.
Yeah, I have seen videos of that actually.
Now, this is not that one, so I thought that would not be appropriate.
True, but I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, all right, let's jump on to, all right, scores. So here's our first one that this year, we were drinking an 89-point wine. Gasp! Oh my God. What was he doing? 89 points. You guys have had 91, 94 pointers with me and now an 89 pointer. My whole thing would be never fear the 80s. I love the 80s. I was a child of the 80s.
Too. Well, not a child, but teenager.
I think I honestly, I think 89 points. Okay. I think this is a really fun, delicious wine with a lot of great qualities.
I love this wine.
And what do you guys think?
I would not have put it at an 89 actually.
I wouldn't have either. I would have thought more 90.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I like this better than some of the low 90s we've had.
Yeah, I agree.
A
Yeah.
taste and a preference
Yes.
of what I like, but it's just solid.
Yeah, I'm totally with you guys.
Yeah.
I would definitely not put this guy below 90.
No.
Absolutely. I
Sure.
wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I would
Mhm.
not put it below 90.
Yeah, I don't know if
love
it's
it.
because they submit all the time and they've reviewed them so many years and
I
they're
was going to ask, are
judging
they
them versus
blind taste
themselves.
testings?
I don't, what's that?
Do they do blind tastings, or do they know what they're drinking?
Oh no, they know what they're drinking.
Well, that's
Yeah.
gonna influence the scores then.
Absolutely.
That's one of our discussions every time. It's like, it's not, look, ratings are very helpful. They are, and they're not out of left field,
Right.
but there are influences. There
Sure.
are,
If you're presented with two handbags and one says Coach on it and the other says Target, you're gonna say, "Oh, the Coach one's nicer,"
Well,
even though maybe it's not.
well, there you go. And yet, God bless you, Target. We love you. Okay, Target.
No, I love Target, but I'm
I
just
love Target. Yep.
Jeff, I'll tell you this, anytime that I've walked into a wine store, and not necessarily yours,
You went to
But-
other wine stores, son of a.
Oh.
just
In the
No.
past,
in the past,
in
but
the
I'm just-
past, we were
whenever I-
having this discussion earlier. But
when I
yes.
when I would walk in and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a blah blah blah," they'd never say, "What score are you looking for?" They'd always say, "How much you want to spend."
All right.
sure.
Mm. Yeah, that's usually a standard.
Score was not important to them. Score is
Yeah.
not important to me. That wasn't their first question.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good store then. That's the kind of store you want. I mean, there are stores out there right now, literally named 90 plus.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a chain, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying, yeah, that's not
Then
the-
you cut yourself off from like this
Right.
wouldn't be in there.
right. Exactly,
Right.
and this is a great wine.
Sure.
So
I would argue that that's a bad store then. Like, don't you want to go to a store that says like, this is a 88, but it's really freaking good. Buy this, save yourself some money.
it's kind of one of those things where it makes it so you don't even have to know your product. You just say everything's good. What do you want?
Yeah, for in the 90 plus.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to, I don't want to get too crazy.
Then you
on
have
it, but-
people that don't know the product.
But honestly, when you know your product, and especially because one of my favorite things is finding tiny little wineries that they can't even afford to put their ratings up,
Right.
because you have to pay to get ratings.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I
But
think
I think people really appreciate the price question too, because we do that at Tipples. They come in all the time. They're like, quick, I'm headed to a dinner. It's my job to bring the wine.
Right.
Jake's first question was always, well, what are they serving?
right,
Pot roast. Okay, great. What's your budget?
Right.
right.
I know the wines in here well enough to know what the best wine is going to be for your budget.
Mhm.
That goes with that meal.
Yeah, I think
Exactly.
that's a great, it's a great order of questions
Right.
because you don't know whether somebody is looking for a $20 bottle of wine
Right.
or like today, a $200 bottle of wine.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
But again, that is, what are you eating? Now, what do you want to spend? But neither one of those questions is what's the rating,
Right.
because you've tasted the wine that's in the store. so you
Exactly.
know.
Like the
Right.
rating is just to say, okay, look, here's why, like if you want, beyond me, who you may not know, like you guys know me, but other people, they've known me for 5 minutes, and to say, okay, not just me saying it, here's someone else saying it. And the point of the price point, not that everyone would do it this way, but I like our store doing it this way because look, if you're saying, look, I want to spend, I have people come in. I've got a really expensive dinner going on tonight with a boss. My price point's $55. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, great. Let me get you the thing that's $55. You know what? I might, if you want a cab, I might put you on to Chateau Buena Vista, which
Mhm.
I sell for $45.
Mhm.
I'm not always going to go up. I'm just going to put
Right.
you in that range, and then
Right.
you do something. At the same time, maybe it's going to be, hey, look, I know you were thinking $50, but this guy at $59.99 is a great one, and it meets exactly what you want to hit. So it's all about just giving us a price point, because at the same time, I had someone come in today with an extremely special meal
Mhm.
and we were talking $200 bottle
Right.
of wine. So that was that, you know, and they liked it so much they decided to come for another one. So
Right. They called him as we were starting this, and he was like, I can't bring it to you.
they wanted me to deliver it, and I was like, I would love to, I really would, but I've got some people waiting for me. None of my business.
Yeah.
Well, when you're like showing up at somebody else's dinner and you know they put a lot of time and money into a fancy dinner, you don't want to show up with the BOGO wine from Publix that week.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I mean, why would you ever want to show up with the BOGO wine from Publix that week?
That's what I'm saying.
But
Unless it was Chakalaka.
Wine I ever
Yeah.
drink, and I'll
You have to take into consideration.
hang out and drink it with you. What did
If
you
you
just
buy
show?
a 50, if
You
you
did
buy a
not show
$50 wine, it's no good with $20 wine people. I mean, they're not going to appreciate that gap.
Right.
They're
Right.
happy with a $20 wine. That's what you should get them.
Right. Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. I was telling Paul, I said, I've never been disappointed with a bottle of wine from Tipple's. You know, so I think it's a good marriage between what I'm looking for. I always say, hey guys, this is what I'm looking for. I need a pairing, or this is my price point, and it's always an amazing marriage. So it is, I don't want to sound like an advertisement, but it is.
Thank you.
But it's easy. So for someone like I mean, I'll say, like, we've only been doing this for what, three months or something?
Probably not even, no.
I don't know. But like, I will tell you honestly, I look at this bottle. It's why I love Elizabeth, because she keeps it real. But I'm like, I don't think I know three of the, like, at least half of the grapes on here.
No,
You know,
no, I
because-
don't know three of the grapes on here. Never heard of them.
No, so this is like, I just know what I like and what I gravitate towards. So this really is an education for me. You know, I'm trying, you know, and I'm learning, but I think you guys are doing a great job. And I'm like Julie, I'm like, I don't think I could ever, it's hard to go back to BOGOs elsewhere when you know what you're gonna get is awesome.
But the point of my question was that the scoring, once you, no, yeah, but the scoring almost means nothing once you're getting into the purchasing the wine for your dinner that night.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you want.
To a certain extent.
Right.
Like if it were maybe a 70.
It's one of those things. I always say it's like, yeah, right.
The chicken
but
fat
it wouldn't
wine.
be, it wouldn't be in the store then, but
It
not in
wouldn't be
my
in our
store,
store,
but it
right.
could be in other stores.
Right.
But you're right. It's one of those things where I always say, I drink every wine that comes in the store for a reason, so we can discuss it, and so I can tell you guys what's going on. But also, it's just one of those things where, and scores are also nice, which I think kind of is what Paul's saying,
Right,
which is
right.
all the other stuff is the most important, and then also if it's got some scores, that's nice too.
You can't
You know,
judge it
even
based
better. It
on the
just
score, though.
Right.
I think is what he's saying. You can't just be
Right.
based on the score. You can't go in and go, I want a 94, and it might be something that,
right,
if that's not what you're looking for,
right.
it's not gonna. Or if it's not with, like, if
I
you
hate
wanna
to
make
reduce
a
it.
meal.
I hate to reduce it to this, but doesn't it almost become a value comparison? Doesn't it almost become a score for the money? Kind of value comparison?
It sometimes can. It depends on the winery and the reviewer and that kind of a thing. And there is a beautiful, clean part to the whole thing. For example, the 94-point Beaujolais we drank last week. I mean, we're talking about, what was that, $18 bottle of wine? 94 points.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It was exactly what it should be. It was stylized for the region, and it was so good. And I think, yeah, right, it's just so great. And then there were other times where you're like, okay, let's face it, some of the big name brand Napa cabs are never going to have below 90 points.
Right.
So
right.
you're like, this one was genuine and this one's enhanced, and but the bottom line is they're always helpful to at least kind of narrow, bring it in.
Sure. And I think that the reviewers, I mean, they have a reputation.
Yeah.
to uphold. So they're not gonna, like, even if it's one of these big wines, if it is really not cutting it, I can't
I can
imagine
only
that
think
they
of
would
one.
just, oh, that's right. There is one that we were just like,
There is one major, huge name brand wine.
which we will not say.
No, I'm not going to say it, but there was one vintage I refused to carry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's the
And-
one that it's an expensive bottle and we dumped it out.
Yeah, it was not
Yeah.
good, and it had 94 points by one of the reviewers, and I was like, no.
That's so rare.
But it was an outlier.
I think it's
not,
it's just the points are great, but take them with a grain of salt.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now just for poops, no, I didn't. I unmuted it. Poops and giggles. What is the highest rated wine that we have in Tipples? I love that I still say we, and I haven't worked there since like.
I know we have several 98 pointers. We probably have a 100-point vintage, and I don't mean just wine. I mean the vintage. I'm not sure if we have a 100-pointer anymore, but I know we have 98ers. That one I sold 2 of today was 98 points. So, and legit. I mean, come on.
I will say once you hit that $55 range, I can taste a difference.
And people ask that a lot too.
Yeah.
To say, "Oh, can you really tell the difference between a $20 bottle and a $100 bottle?" Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not something that I'm just
I
going
don't-
to grab on a Tuesday night.
Right. And like even
Yeah.
I drink them, much more rarely.
Mhm.
But yes, yeah. I'm like,
Do you
it's
think
not.
the cake bread cab is worth the price difference?
Cake bread's fantastic. Yeah. Cake bread versus, I'm not sure which one, but yeah, the cake bread's great.
I just feel like we have so many good $25. I haven't had the cake bread cab, which is why I'm asking. And because I've had the cake bread Chardonnay.
Yeah, like I'll give you one, like $25, right? Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Great $25 bottle of wine. All day long, fantastic Juggernaut, right?
Yeah.
Cake bread's better. Not even close.
Not even close.
No, cake bread is definitely better.
Okay. No, that's what
And I'm not saying Juggernaut's great for $25, but when you get to cake bread, yeah, it's better. It's just definitively
bread's
better.
also not a $100 bottle of wine, so that's why I'm asking. Like, I feel like cake bread's affordable for a celebration for
Sure.
us, for middle class people figuring out life during COVID. Like, if we're gonna celebrate, if we're gonna have a bottle of wine at Christmas, okay, cool. Like, I might come in and get the cake bread cab. I love Juggernaut, so I'm like, is it worth paying twice as much? Because I've had the Chardonnay and I don't like Chardonnay, and I like the cake bread Chardonnay. So it's
Cake
like,
bread makes an amazing
then
Chardonnay.
how is the cake bread cab?
It's delicious. It's fantastic. Yeah.
What's it sell for? What's the
that?
price?
It's like 60 to 65.
Yeah, cake bread 70-ish. Yeah, if I remember off the top of my head. Yeah.
But that can happen as you go up too. You can hit a point of reduced returns after you hit a certain price in a line of expensive wines. And the one I'm familiar with is Molly Dooker. And after you hit the $80 bottle, the Velvet Glove is 120, and you're not getting much past that $80. Not that I drink that kind of wine, but I've been told that by people that do.
Oh yeah,
Molly
the
Dooker
velvet gloves. Yeah.
Did
That's
we
good.
have that one? Because I remember Molly Dooker, we had the Boxer, and that was very good. But that's what, the Shiraz?
They've had they had kind of an interruption in their supply for a little while, but I'm looking at bringing all those guys back in. They're really good. They're excellent. I've got the Penfold line coming in as well, which we've never done before. Penfold's is beautiful wine out of Australia.
And he has another line of wines called the Fluger wines coming in, right?
Yep.
What?
All right. They're
really good wines.
We're still recording it. They are awesome wines. We're going to be drinking Fluger wines.
Just about to ask if we were still recording.
They are fantastic Fluger wines. We should talk about it afterward. Let's finish up this recording because we've gone way off. Let's finish the recording, and we'll talk about those Fluger wines. You are so good that you have won over something you don't even know you had to overcome. So hashtag Fluger wines are great. And let's move on. Okay, let's jump back to the video, the slides, please. Okay, so we had our, yep, next
Yeah.
one, please.
Okay, we all agree it's in this range.
I would put it up at the
Oh,
Yep.
Mhm.
I'm glad you guys agree, by the way, since I led you into this.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, wow, it's barely.
Yeah, so
in
here you
the-
see, I know I said it earlier, but I'm not sure if I made it clear. So you see that this is actually barely in the wine growing area down there. But because of the sandy soil, it allows them to have it.
Good.
Yeah, it's like, over here, they actually have much cooler. I don't know why, but here it's much warmer than here.
Huh.
I was doing a couple of different articles today to try and figure that out and to make sure I had it right. But
Right.
everything I'm seeing shows that this is much warmer than that.
Huh.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So they rely on their porous sand, basically their sand dunes that they're growing these vines on. So, and that's completely different from over here. You have mountains and everything over
Right.
here. It's crazy.
Right.
Totally different.
Well, with South America, you go much further south too.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Well,
just-
sure.
yeah.
And then here's our one of our Save the Old, which we talked about last week. I don't know if anyone.
They are sold out of their t-shirts right now, or at least the ones I was looking at. So right now they're sold out, but
Okay, can you recap that for those of us that were in Pennsylvania for Thanksgiving?
Okay.
Sure.
Slackers who like to go see family for Thanksgiving. I don't even know who you are. So this is old vine. So in Lodi, California, there's a convergence with you want vines that get old enough to produce a large amount of grapes and have good character, but when they get old enough, they begin producing less grapes, but with greater character. And there are economic powers that be that are trying to tear out all the old vines in Lodi that have the best character, that can make the best wine. They can't make as much wine per acre. Remember, I talked about the low yields in South Africa earlier today, even.
Yeah.
They want higher yields with some character instead of great character with lower yields. So this group is fighting against them to keep those old vines and create truly great wine out of Lodi, California.
Yeah, and I was really encouraged actually by the fact that they were sold out of their
Yeah, right.
t-shirts.
So,
So
the t-shirts part of their fundraiser?
yes, so they have a merch store on there. So you can just donate money or you can get merch. So that's one of the things Jeff wants.
I wanted it for Christmas. Yeah.
So
Well, I like merch. It brings awareness.
What'd you say?
Merch brings awareness. If people are gonna be like, "What's that?" Then
Right.
Exactly.
That's better than you donating the original amount.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know, with Jeff wearing Save the Old, they may just think it's about him,
Oh,
but you know.
You know what? I'm gonna hang out with Jerry. So I feel better.
That's right.
Sorry, Jerry.
We'll do the old vines and the old wine.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
That's
Jerry and I
right.
are going to go for a tour of Old Vine,
Oh, yeah.
Germany, and we're going to have a great time.
Yeah,
Be
the Alter Raben in Germany, the old vines are good.
Absolutely.
So
So wait, speaking of Germany, and this is completely kind of a different thing, but if you went to Germany, would it make sense to like line it up? So you're going for Oktoberfest, so you're hitting the beer and then you also hit the
yes,
wines?
because
Okay.
that's also harvest.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Jerry, you tell me if I'm wrong.
You'd have to do the wines first because that's when they have the festivals. The wine festivals come in late August through September. You could go to 1 or 2 wine festivals a weekend. You can't remember where you were, but it was good. Then you head east into Bavaria and the Oktoberfest starts. So you could, yep, that's why you'd have to do the wines first. But that's okay.
That sounds like a month of fun.
It's awful, yeah.
Oh, and all right.
The German is very cheap there. You know, we got a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, full kitchen, living room, patio, flat, $80 a night.
Well,
Wow.
And we share it with another couple, so that's $40
well,
a
no,
year.
no, no, no.
I say let Jerry plan the next trip, Elizabeth. I felt that.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's very common there. That's right at
Nice.
range. Yeah.
So next week we are going back to California, and you know what? We're going to do a Napa cab.
Oh, decoy.
I had this wine in Auburn.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I had it at Hamilton's. I was there
No.
and yes, I was there.
In
They had it
Auburn?
at Hamilton's.
Not the limited. This was a new
okay.
creation.
Sorry, I had a decoy wine there.
Yes, you had a decoy cap, which is
Sorry.
really good. Not as good. Sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Because because this is what I do when I'm not with Jeff. I send him pictures of the wine menu and say, what should I have? And then he tells me what to have.
Yeah.
And I had a decoy.
Yeah. Decoy cab is excellent.
Okay.
Decoy is fantastic. This is decoy limited.
All right.
All right. So this is a new creation from Duckhorn Vineyards. So you got the decoy, which is in the 20s per bottle. Then you have the Duckhorn, which is in the mid 60s per bottle. So this is juice from the Duckhorn Vineyards, vinted at the Decoy Vineyards for a fantastic value because they just have had a great series of vintages where they've had enough juice to share around. So we're talking, I mean, this is Duckhorn juice.
Yeah.
This is fantastic stuff. Willie Wong, 90 points. Pair it with steaks, burgers, short ribs, portobello mushrooms, and lamb. It is a beautiful, and I'm finally like, I know I jumped back and I've done a couple of red blends, but I realized I was like, I need to find a cab. Americans love Napa cab. We
Yeah.
need to do one. So
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing a series of kind of elevated wines as we move through December.
Okay.
I hope everyone's on board with me. And we're going to do some really cool stuff. And this is the first step up
Of the elevated
of the
wines.
elevated wine. So
Okay.
decoy / Duckhorn. It's more Duckhorn than decoy Cabernet Sauvignon.
And this is one of the things due to COVID, we're not having an in-store, like, it's not called a flight with wines, but
Right.
we're not having an in-store tasting this December, right?
No, I don't think we can.
Yeah, we just have to see what's going on with COVID because we want to be responsible.
I wanted to kind of keep the holiday wine tasting and holiday beer tasting, but I don't think we can do it
Right.
this year. There's
Yeah.
too much of a spike going on.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and we don't know where we're going to be 3 weeks from now because of Thanksgiving. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, right. Yeah.
right. We could be shut down to in-store tasting. We don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully not, but
we shall see.
we don't know. So anyway, I think you're just trying to introduce some things that we can have fun at home. And
Right. And actually, the next three tastings in a row are all about things that A, are super delicious, and B, you may be intrigued by to give as gifts.
Ah,
So
good idea.
we're gonna do, so I've got like the one we're doing, the next one is a special Frenchie that I'm locking down the inventory on because they're such a small amount. They only bring in 12 cases a year.
to the
To the
US
state.
or the state? Okay,
To the state. So,
The whole state is
yeah.
12
And so
cases.
I'm on, with the 3 I bought already, I'm on 5 of the 12. It's amazing.
Okay, wow.
It's stuff. So anyway, so we're going to do Duckhorn next week. It is delicious. I hope you guys will join us again.
Decoy, but it's Duckhorn grapes.
That's what, yes.
Yes.
All right. So let's say, let's toast out and then we can turn off the recording.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.
Mhm.